the world said their final goodbyes to Queen Elizabeth II yesterday before she was laid to rest with her husband. Joining us now to break it all down is royal commentator, joining us from Pennsylvania, Amanda Matta. Amanda, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Amanda, there was so much to talk about. Let's break down some of the personal touches that we saw yesterday, beginning with the flowers.
Definitely. So it sounds like the flowers that were resting on top of the Queen's coffin were almost handpicked by King Charles, or by order of King Charles, from some of the Queen's residences. So you had a very personal touch in the flowers that were picked and the way that they were laid out for her. And this just kind of connects her to the residences that she loved during her lifetime.
So, Amanda, the last we saw of the Queen's casket was the shot at St. George's Chapel on the grounds of Windsor Castle. What happened after the cameras stopped going live? What were the steps that the public were not allowed to see?
Yeah, so the last we saw of the Queen's casket was when it was lowered into the royal vault, which is a very ceremonial moment. That's why it was televised. But after the cameras were turned off, the royal family actually had some time to have a private ceremony when the coffin was taken from that royal vault and moved to its final resting place alongside the Queen's family and Prince Philip in her family's memorial chapel. So still inside St. George's, but in a much smaller, more private area.
And in that last ceremony, the smaller ceremony, which was the committal ceremony at St. George's Chapel, we saw them pass a beautiful horse, which apparently some say curtsied, and then we saw the corgis, which we knew the Queen loved. So tell us about that and her love of animals.
Yes, absolutely. The Queen's two passions in life, it seems, were dogs and horses, and they were brought out from Windsor to say one final goodbye to their mom. And Emma the pony was the moment that I know got a lot of people right in their feelings. It did seem that she knew that the Queen was passing by her one last time. It's just moments like that combined this huge state ceremony with some very intimate parts of the Queen's life. That was what made it so moving for a lot of people.
Amanda, obviously a ton of foreign dignitaries, and that goes without saying. But it wasn't just foreign dignitaries. Who else was there that we really maybe didn't spot but should know showed up?
Sure. So yeah, besides all of the foreign royals, the heads of state, you also had, of course, the Queen's family, both the familiar faces, the big names, and some of her more distant relatives. But then you also had friends of the Queen. The ladies of the Queen's household were there. There were some shots of them entering Westminster Abbey. This included Lady Susan Hussey, who was one of the very few people with the Queen during COVID, and Angela Kelly, who was her longtime dresser. So she helped her pick out her clothes and made some of them for her. So these are women that were technically in service to the Queen, but who we know developed a very strong relationship with her over many years. So another aspect of the personal at this huge, unprecedented ceremony.
Princess Diana's brother Charles Spencer was there, and apparently he was wearing cufflinks as a nod to the Queen, despite the stories that we heard, of course, when Princess Diana tragically was killed in that accident. He was there for the committal ceremony, and there was a lot of attention paid as to what people wore, heirlooms passed down. Talk to us a little bit about that in terms of Princess Catherine, her daughter, Charlotte, and as well as Meghan Markle's earrings.
Yeah, absolutely. Jewelry, it was always a way that the Queen was known to maybe subtly communicate. So that it was nice to see that carry into the way her family was celebrating her legacy at this funeral. So Kate was wearing a necklace and a set of earrings that belonged to the Queen. She also wore those back at Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral last year. And then Meghan, too, was wearing a very simple pair of earrings, which were gifts from the Queen to her for her wedding, and which we saw on Meghan during her first engagement with the Queen. And then, yeah, Princess Charlotte, I believe the youngest person at the funeral, was wearing, I believe, the first jewelry we've seen her wear in public, a very tiny little horseshoe brooch, which the Queen is reported to have given her as a gift.
Yeah, and seeing her saw broke so many hearts, little Charlotte. Yeah. Oh my gosh, for her great-grandmother.
Amanda, so many moments here. We could sit here for an hour. We appreciate your time. Have a good day. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Amanda Matta, Royal Observer.